The City of Jackson's Visitors and Conventions Commission reminds us to shop locally. From our wide selection of national retail chains to our unique downtown shops, Jackson is a great place to spend the day. Catch an exhibit or grab some lunch or dinner from one of our national restaurant chains or local eateries. Spend the night in one of our national chain hotels. No matter what your plans, the City of Jackson and Jackson County in the rolling hills of Southern Ohio is a great way to spend the day. Just a friendly reminder from the City of Jackson Visitors and Conventions Commission.
Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at belisiofoods.com/careers.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
Well, happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to the morning show right here on Main Street TV, where we are here this morning with a very, very fun special guest, and we're going to talk about all things that I have no idea about, and that's esports.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you kind of introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are. Big guy at Rio.
Yeah, my name is Bobby Vetta. I'm the newly hired director of esports at University of Rio Grande, just down the street here. And yeah, esports has just always been a passion of mine. So to get a full-time gig, it's really exciting. So just looking forward to everything at Rio, and they do it big.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So Dylan here has kept us kind of informed on what's going on. But so here's the deal. Like, I grew up playing my Atari.
Okay.
If that dates me a little bit.
You're fine.
Oh, he said I'm fine. We were going to ask you about Pong this morning, see if you were a mad Pong player.
No. When I started, it was like Pokemon on Game Boy was my very initial, the Game Boy Color is like when I kind of came onto the scene. Yeah.
Well, we had the Atari.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was mad, good at Donkey Kong and Frogger and all that stuff. But anyway, we have, shall we say, we've progressed since then. Although there's something to be said for those OG
for
games,
sure.
right?
It's funny you mentioned that. So I go by Diddy. That's like my gaming username.
Okay.
And it has been since.
How'd you get from Bobby to Diddy?
Diddy. So first of all, it's kind of similar, right? It's like Diddy Bobby, Diddy Bobby.
Gotcha.
Similar format, but that has nothing to do with it. You said the OGs. I played for a COD clan that my brother brought me up into. So Call of Duty 4, and this was probably in 2006 or 7. And the clan was called Original Gaming. So everyone's gamer tag was OG space I space, and then Donkey Kong was one of them. My brother was Johnny Cage. There was Tetris was my best friend.
Okay.
There was Kirby. So it's anyone who joined that clan got to just change their gamer tag to some original form of game.
Gotcha.
Right. So any character. So mine ended up being Diddy Kong. And then I just kept the Diddy the whole time.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So I was brought up under the wings of kind of that same generation of original gamers. So I've been an original gamer, it feels like my whole life. Because right when I came on the scene, I took that tag and just kept it the whole time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So have you ever actually turned on an original Atari and played it?
No.
You haven't?
No, never.
That would be fun.
Nintendo. The first
Mario.
Nintendo, I was playing, Mario on that. It's funny, the game that comes to mind from that, Nintendo, my mom had a van with one in the back. This is actually kind of crazy for that time.
I mean, that's some serious stuff back then.
Serious technology. So actually, shout out to them. They were way ahead of their time. Maybe that had something to do with it. But my sister would play the Barbie game where you're like on skates and it's like 2D, like skating, like Barbie jumping up and down. So then there's like a frog game, I remember. But yeah, definitely things like Mario on the Nintendo. Yeah. I was playing that.
I don't think I ever got past Mario on the Nintendo.
No, you never beat no.
Close, but no.
There's still copies out there you can buy now and give it a shot.
Keep on. Yeah. God, it's been so long now. I wouldn't even remember all of the secrets and the tricks. And I mean, it would take like a year to figure all that stuff out again. I feel like
maybe it's like reading a book. Like it's a challenge. You know, give yourself time, do it a little bit every day, and then you finally complete it. You're like, wow, I beat Bowser. Like I saved Peach.
Did it. Yeah. I finally did it. So, Travis says that's my esports director.
Travis. Oh, Travis is in the chat or watching.
Hi, Travis.
Hi, Travis. Thanks for tuning in.
So here's the deal. One of my good friends had a daughter that was in school, several years ago. I think she went to Shawnee. And so I'm talking to him one day and I'm like, oh, what's what's she majoring in? And he's like, oh, esports. And I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Really?
And, or something to do with that. And I'm like, that's a thing. Now, this is several years ago. Okay. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what? I did not know. And I had never even heard of it. I mean, I knew what video games were. I understood that. I understand that part of it. But I didn't know that it was such a big deal. And so that was kind of my first, I guess, taste, if you will, of knowing that that's actually a thing. So when did esports, and we'll talk about the, the Rio program too, but when did esports like kind of as a whole become a thing? I mean, people have been playing video games obviously since, my Atari and all that stuff in the 80s, but like, when is it becoming something that is equivalent to, basketball or football or something of that nature?
Yeah, so I'll do my best historian take. I think even in the 90s they were linking up and competing in some like really primitive titles, and then like early 2000s you had like probably big StarCraft competitions and maybe some LAN tournaments, but the online connectivity wasn't there. So the industry I'm more familiar with, the part of this industry I am is like the schools and like when colleges started having teams, and I think that goes back maybe 5-6 years where some of the games had like backing by their publishers to organize. Okay, so
that makes sense.
And once that started happening and the online connectivity, so the reason this didn't happen in the 90s and early thousands is because like competing with another school across the country online, the connection and the technology wasn't there.
Physically, it wasn't there. Like you just couldn't do it.
Yeah. You would have to like meet up in person and do like LAN events. So between the technology and the connectivity and also the publishers helping organize events, I think maybe 5-6 years ago, a lot of colleges started kind of picking up, and third party organizations started helping organize at the college level. And it just sort of took off. And then if you just look at like esports as an industry globally, it's worth like, X billions of dollars. I don't know the number. Like, it's $1 billion industry. It's very popular globally in the eastern regions like China and Korea. I'm sure India. In South Korea, it's kind of even like their sports, I think, I want to say.
Oh, like so they're our football is their kind of esports.
Yeah, it's like
situation.
The mecca of like the world. So I think if you go to South Korea, like that exposure would really open your eyes. But I think because it's just worth so much globally, a lot of schools and a lot of organizations in America want to get into it, and so now's the time. And I think most colleges have teams or clubs by now, and it's the high school level that's sort of, I think, in development right now.
Okay, so we started kind of more at the top of with colleges, and then now we're going to trickle down.
Yeah, and I think it'll go all the way into youth. But
I was going to say, I mean, we have like Pee Wee football. We're going to end up having Pee Wee esports.
I'm sure we do. I'm sure we will. Yeah, it's just organizing at the college level is easier than the high school level, and then high school I'm sure is easier than like the youth level. So I think for that reason it's just gonna trickle down, like you said. So it's only a matter of time, but it'll come.
You know, and it makes total sense for the video game industry to, support this because it's win-win for them, right? It's,
Yeah.
It's self-serving for
Yeah.
them.
I mean, you can talk about Riot Games, which I think is the biggest developer in esports. They definitely are, for sure. They hold the like single biggest esports event, which is their League of Legends Worlds. So if you look at like viewership records and things like that, they're kind of the leading force. Riot, and this is the same organization that I mentioned started sanctioning and like organizing at the college level. What they do that's separated from other video game publishers is like, when they made Mario, as maybe a bad example, or the very first like Call of Duty, or even something like World of Warcraft, they didn't have in mind to make it a competitive scene that like gets viewership, and they made their game free. So their model was like, make it competitive. People will watch the pros play and then want to buy the cosmetics in the game, and then they make money through.
Okay.
What do you call it? Microtransaction. I don't know if it's microtransaction, but cosmetics in game. That's how they make their money.
So, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, because on the surface, it seems as if a game is free, right? But then once you get into it and
Yes, I know what you're
want
saying.
to start
there's
being really good at it and getting into the intricacies of it, you're going to pay.
So, there's all kinds of models out there. Originally, it was you pay up front for your game, you take it home, and then that's yours. And then it started becoming like online, like update content, right? So you pay for updates. Some games are pay to win, so the money you spend will help you, like in the game, be more competitive. Okay, but the one that I'm talking about, League of Legends, is not pay to win. It's just cosmetics. So you pay to look cooler, or pay to have like a different vibe with your character, or like a different color.
I got you.
And that
That's
alone,
how they get you.
that is how they get you. That alone is how they get you. And like me and my buddies, we talk about it. It's still a really cheap hobby. If I spend $100 a year on skins, compare that to like fishing or hunting or like golfing.
Sure.
Like, even if you're paying for cosmetics just to look cool in a game, it's not like a very expensive hobby. I know you need a computer and all that, but like I said, if you comparatively, if I'm into cars, for example, I like cars, I could spend $20,000 a year just dabbling in cars. So, but yeah, that's how they get you. Some games is pay to win, where like I said, your real money makes you stronger in the game. So there's all kinds of different models, but the one that was most successful competitively was, we focused on organizing competition. You watch the pros play. The pros wear the skins. It makes you want to buy the skins.
When you say skins, what does that mean? What your character looks like?
Yeah, cosmetics, skins. It's just what your character looks like.
Outfits, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like your Bitmoji, except in the game. Yeah. Sort of.
But cooler.
Less customizable in the game that I'm thinking of. But yeah.
Okay. So, I assume that video games are kind of like how we watch TV today. And what I mean by that is, now I'm dating myself a little bit here, but it used to be, there was a thing called Blockbuster.
Yeah, I remember.
And there was a thing called, every local town had a video rental store, right? Mm-hmm. And you went and you rented that physical thing that you stuck in a VCR, that cassette tape.
Yep.
And then it became DVDs. Cool. And then the Netflix comes out and all of that. And I can remember, like with my nephews, buying them new video games for Christmas. And you went to Walmart or wherever and you bought like the newest game, and it was kind of like a CD or something. Yeah. So are games evolving just like to where you're not going to Walmart and buying the actual CD anymore or whatever? You're actually just streaming and downloading things via the internet. Is that?
Yeah, I think they are. You can still
kind of like movies are today, where you don't go get a VCR tape anymore. You just download the thing.
Right. Yeah, I think that is the direction we're going. You can still get a hard copy of like most games, and maybe it's better to back up a hard copy on your console and then have that just in case. But I think nowadays, you kind of can just download straight off like the store, like an app would be, and kind of play from there. At least that's the direction we're going in. But I should admit, I'm not too familiar with the way consoles. I'm not like a console gamer. I'm more like PC gamer, although I'm familiar.
Can you explain that, like what you're saying?
Yeah.
Kind of back to what I was just saying, right?
Where I got you. Yeah, so PC has always been you just download on the
That's your computer.
Yeah. Consoles are more like, they needed a disc. First they needed like that, thick thing you put in a Nintendo. Then that got smaller. Then they needed a disc. Now a Switch needs just like a little chip, right? And we're getting into where consoles are computers, just like your phone is kind of a computer. So yeah, we are in the stage where you can download it online. I just think, since I'm not so familiar with consoles, and when I game on my free time, it's just on a PC, I'm not sure exactly where we are in that evolution. I think you still might want a hard copy for some of your games.
So can you play, I mean, is it a choice? Is it a, if Dylan wants to go out and buy, I know there's like Xboxes and Nintendos and this and that and whatever. Can you do all the same games on your computer that you can do on that? You just don't have the physical like thing to put in there, or is it, or we talk about apples and oranges?
No, it's different. I think the access that PC has to games is like infinite, whereas consoles only support some, because there's like I guess an infinite amount of PC games. But the amount of cross accessibility in consoles is going up. Like you can play most games across most consoles, whereas it used to be like you can only play this on that or the other. But I think PC is like you're open to kind of all games. Well, I might be tripping over myself here, because if a publisher like Super Smash Bros, for example, you can't play on PC.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the developer and what like rights they give to each title, but I think computers just have the widest range of what you can download at any given moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is with computers, not that it's a problem, but you just have to know what you're doing. For example, I know at our new brewery space, we just put in a golf simulator, which is 4K and all of this. Well, we ended up having to purchase a gaming computer to be able to run all of the things, because this thing is like, I mean, it's like a ginormous video game, right? So you have to obviously know what you're doing and have a computer that can support all that stuff, right? Like your normal laptop that you're using to search the internet and type reports at college or whatever are not probably going to run the games that you're talking about.
Yep. And then the games update over time. And so, a program like Grande needs to have strong computers. Not only that, they need to replace them every handful of years so that they don't go down, and so that we can keep up with the updates. So, yeah, you need, strong computer power. And it's all like an arms race. You remember during, I don't know if this was like during the COVID era, but when GPUs or like processors, all these things like went up in price, like spiked up in price because of the demand for like graphics cards and things like that. So, it is an arms race, on the market, as well as, any team, any esports organization needs to keep up with the demanding power of the game.
Absolutely. It's the same as, your football helmets need to be kept up with, and pads and replace, the same, it's the same thing. You need the tools.
A sport that you might not think of this applies to, but it does, would be like golf, I think. I'm not like an expert golfer or anything, but the technology of like the balls, the club, things like that. If you are like, for example, Ohio State, they might have like state of the art, golf equipment versus, like you said, it's just any sport. It needs to kind of keep up with that.
Sure.
That race.
So you need to keep up with the computers and all of that stuff.
Yep.
So let's talk about Rio in general with the esports and the team and all that. This is fascinating to me that this is a thing. I mean, because I'm not like in that world, you know what I mean? So how does that work? Like, how did it get started, the esports program? How long has it been there? And then tell us a little bit about like how people compete and all that, because I don't really know other than what Dylan's told me, and he loses me about 5 seconds in.
Yeah, so I don't know Rao's origin story, but I know the most common origin story, and I helped start a program at another school. So typically it's the student leadership at the college. Excuse me. And this is why it's easier to organize at college than it is at the high school level, because at any given college, you probably have a handful of student leaders who can make a club.
Okay.
And then they can get some funding and get a council together and show the university, hey, a lot of people are interested in this. And then depending on the university and their administration, they might say, okay, we're going to go all in, make it a varsity sport, build you guys a room, etc. Some schools, the athletic department doesn't, get hip to it fast enough, or it takes years for them to make that commitment. But I would guess that at Rio, I think a man named Alex was one of the original founders. He was a CS player, Counter-Strike. So, and he was like semi-pro, or maybe he like could have gone pro or whatever. So some guys.
Is that a thing?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We could talk about that too, but yeah, he was he's a little bit older than me, so we talked about kind of like what area you're in. Maybe maybe he could have gone pro or was competing, and he was just knew about it before anyone else at the school.
Okay.
Especially before the administration, because once you take esports to the admins, they're like, "What is this?"
Yeah. Like what are you talking about?
The most common response is like, "Wait, what? This is a thing?" So it really depends, like who's working at what school and what student leadership formed what club or group initially. So that's probably about how it started, maybe I want to say 3 years ago or so. And
so it's in its infancy. I mean, this is a new thing. Okay.
Most definitely. I'd say esports in general is in its infancy. And then the way teams compete is you just kind of sign up for online leagues, third-party organizations that, like, the conference we're in is NECC. There's a handful out there. There even is a travel conference that will have, in-person competition. And they're kind of like a travel rock band. They bring like a giant truck, and then they set up like a mini portable stage.
Okay, I got you.
A giant stream. They run ads on their stream. That's not the conference we're in now, but that is kind of where we're getting to in that point. Most competition, although, is online, and so you just you get in the arena at your campus, they get in the arena at their campus if they have one.
Okay.
Meet up online. A lot of the rules are, agreed on as you go in and kept track by like third-party organizations. So if you just have a budget to compete, you pay the league a little bit of a fee. They organize, and then, you might win a trophy or some prize money.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So what's the goal? So you win a tournament, what do you get?
So
bragging rights,
prize money,
okay,
and bragging rights, and yeah, we have some trophies in our room right now. Rio does. So we're, we have our head Overwatch coach, Devin. He's serious business, and he just talks about getting that trophy. So
okay, it's expected.
Yeah, it's all the above. Prize money depending on the school or the agreement. Could go to the players, could go to the school or the program, or it could be split up. But yeah, I think it's about that trophy, and we talk about it in our room.
Who is that, Dylan?
That's Devin.
Okay.
There he is, yeah.
He looks serious.
He is serious business. He's a real esports coach. Real. Because I'll say, for example, at the college level, it's easier to organize because the student leaders get together. Mm-hmm. What about at high school?
Yeah. I was going to ask kind of like the differences, or what Dylan's experienced, the differences.
The difference to me is the high schoolers can't organize on their own. It would need to be like a teacher, like a faculty member, to be their advisor.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Like, we could, but they won't let us.
Yeah, I mean,
like, you would probably, I don't want to say do better at it, but you could totally do that, but it's just not a high school thing.
Is it because you're not the age of an adult? Like, is it because you're not 18?
I don't know, man. Like, one time I stayed after school to do a bunch of streaming work. Like, I already do. Like, Diddy lets me do this. I don't think I even need permission. I just walk over and work. But at the high school, if you're there after a certain time, like say 4 or 5, suddenly you have to get out. Like you will be kicked out.
Well,
Like
and
it's
I
there.
guess
There's just different rules they have to follow than compared to a college. And I do think it's the difference between being an adult and being technically a kid.
yeah. I think you're probably right.
That's probably the biggest thing. So what I was saying is some esports coaches out there are just like the science teacher who is like, oh, okay, kids, I'll.
Oh yeah, I'll be your advisor.
Yeah,
cool.
That's exactly what Mr. Siders is. He's our science teacher.
but Devin, on the other hand, our Overwatch coach, is really like a coach, like studies the game, helps them with strategy, helps them, come together, has, a culture within his own team. So shout out to him. But yeah, there is a big difference between a real esports coach and just
like an advisor.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that what you were just saying is, you have these tournaments and you could be, Rio Grande could be playing a team in California or whatever, but nobody actually physically comes together.
No.
I mean, I guess that could happen, but Ohio State football plays Michigan. Both teams have to be there on the field together.
Yeah,
they have to travel. Like you guys with esports, it's kind of cool. Like you can just stay in your own home base. Somebody else is in their home base, and you're playing a whole game.
Yeah, like I said, that's what most of competition in college is. There are events where, like the conference I talked about, that had teams meet up and play like colleges against each other. That's pretty rare, but it's not uncommon to see a third-party organization put together just any given LAN tournament where like schools near that area will come out and play.
Teams actually physically go to a location.
Yeah, that's fairly common. I mean, a handful a year at least, if not like a dozen a year. We plan to travel to some of these. We just have been playing our conference games, and we still need to kind of find our footing. But yeah, it's not uncommon to meet up and play, but most leagues, most competitions online. And then the whole like fandom and interaction is, I would say it's like on social media, like Twitter and things like that, or even like Twitch. Like we'll stream our game. So if you're an enemy fan, you could maybe check out our stream and see our arena, and like tweet at us about it after. So there is some interaction. It's just online. It's not in person.
Yeah, and I think that it's hard for people if they don't understand the concept to get your mind wrapped around the fact that this is a sport just like anything else that you watch, tennis or golf or basketball or football or whatever. It's the same thing. It's just a different sport.
Yeah, people are like, wait, you watch people play video games?
Yeah.
it's like you watch people play football. I don't know.
And that's a really good way to put it. Like, there's a lot of people that turn on, football games on Saturday afternoons or Sunday and
like,
watch
why are you
them.
playing? Like, what are you doing? Just go play with them.
Yeah.
It's like.
So, I don't know. I just think it's a really fun, cool concept. And I love that it's in its infancy to see where, you think it can go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be bigger than traditional sports one day. I told my buddies that years ago in like a little group text, just because I knew like, oh, it's getting so big. But yeah, I think the sky's the limit. It's gonna keep growing. Just as we enter a more technologically advanced era of the world, I guess. Everyone seems like most kids are gaming nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone, So, yeah, I think it's only just the beginning, and it's going to be huge.
Do you, in your mind, this is just your opinion or me asking you your opinion, like, I'm looking at, so Dylan brought in his console one day. What'd you bring in?
It was my Switch.
Okay, so he brought in his Switch, and he made me Princess Peach or whatever the heck it is, and kicked my butt. And I don't know, what did we play, Smash Brothers?
Smash Bros.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm looking at it and it looks pretty high tech to me. Like, I'm like, I don't know. And there's like 75 buttons on this thing. And I just is like pushing stuff and getting killed and, whatever. And he's laughing at me and all that. But so you're looking at some of this stuff. And I think back to when I was playing Donkey Kong in 1980, God knows when, and Frogger and, those normal Atari games that, first came out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
and how much that it's advanced. I mean, I remember going from our Atari to Nintendo, and that was just like,
Yeah, Nintendo,
and
man.
and then it was like, then that's obviously very antiquated now and all that. But I'm looking at these games today, and I'm thinking, my God, like, what else could they possibly do to make them better or cooler or whatever? So, what do you think? I mean, is it just going to keep on growing and keep on getting cooler? Like, what can they possibly do to make these games cooler?
The first thing that comes to mind is like virtual reality 3D, like full immersion. Like if you were playing Call of Duty, but you're really like running on a track and you had like a plastic
gun or
fake
something,
gun. Yeah, and there could be 9 other guys. Well, Call of Duty's 4. There could be 7 other guys all in their own rooms, but you're really running out there and ducking and.
That seems like that could be, well, it's like a workout on top of it, right?
I think that, when you ask, like, it's a good question. How can they even do any better than this?
Yeah.
I would say, like, I would look through a different medium. Like, what's the next medium? And it could be virtual reality. A lot of headsets came out, like Oculus came out 2016, 18. And things like that just take a long time before they're in every kid's room and connected all together online playing. So.
And is it because of expense and availability and or just a whole lot of other things?
I think expense might be the biggest one, but the practicality of like I think there will be a day where everyone is online in virtual reality. It's just not like maybe it costs too much, or maybe parts are backed up like we were talking about earlier, or but yeah, I think that's my take on where it would go next.
Okay. Dylan, what do you think?
I agree with that. I think virtual reality has become a bigger and bigger thing, and there's already lots of different talk of introducing some virtual reality games at the high school level. And high school is kind of like beta, like they're just testing the waters, see what could and couldn't work. So if it succeeds in the high school level, then it's eventually going to hit the college level. And where they're already working on it, like they're actively doing that right now. I'd say that's definitely the next step. And once you hit that area, there's just so many different other avenues, different games that could be introduced. I mean, one of these days you could see people playing virtual reality Smash Bros. And that'd be awesome.
Be wild.
So does that mean like you're actually like maybe like physically running and jumping and
I'm thinking of how to. I think you would have a command where your body does something, and it, if I take a step left, it'll know to go left. Yeah. But then to do like my up A, I would maybe have to like do something with my body that it like registered.
I mean, I think that's definitely where it will be someday. But right now, the virtual reality they're working with is where like it immerses you visually, and like your hand controls, like you just hold like 2 different controllers essentially, and you move them. But like it's still like they don't have like the legs involved yet and everything.
Okay.
So I'd say that'd be the next step, but I think that will be
you're obviously not going to like physically jump on top of a building. Like we know that. Like that's not going to happen. So like how does it, how do you make it do that? But I guess it makes sense to just be able to move but not necessarily do all the craziness.
So imagine bringing it full circle. You got 22 players all in their room playing football, but just on like a track, right? Like with like bands, like I've seen videos of maybe you go to like Dave & Buster's and they have like one of these sets you put on an Oculus. You're running on a track. So imagine playing a physical sport in virtual reality.
Right.
Would that be an e-sport? Would that be a sport?
I mean, you're kind of at that already with golf. Golf's basically gotten there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like our golf simulator is pretty cool.
Yeah, like golf isn't necessarily a sport, but it's the same thing as esports. It's not necessarily a sport, but it is.
Yeah.
So if golf's already
That's
there.
That's a good point, yeah. Golf's there, so I think that all things, all sports could be, virtual one day. Pretty creepy to think about, isn't it?
It is. Well, what creeps me out is just the fact that we as humans don't have to physically, do things, that it's like computers and stuff think for us and do things for us. Like, I mean, I even think about the good old fashioned math classes that I used to take where we weren't allowed to have calculators.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like that was a thing where I had, I think, one high school math class where we had to have a calculator. And other than that, you weren't allowed to have one.
Yeah.
Well, now you can't do anything without one because it's all the formulas.
My statistics class would have been awful without my calculator.
Well, yeah, I mean, because there's formulas and things like that, so like it's more advanced, I guess. Like we had to learn multiplication tables and all that junk.
Yeah, as much as I'm like in the esports world and I love the gaming side of everything, I am a little like skeptical of like the technology like becoming all consuming, you know?
Yeah.
I don't ever want to just be like plugged in. I joke with my friends that I do. I'm like, when the metaverse is here, just plug me in and I'll see you guys later. Because I'm like so like into my games. But at the same time, like, you know, I am skeptical of, you know, just being involved with the digital world too much. So
well, that's a fair question. That was what I was going to ask you. Like, is that going to be problematic? Are people going to just live their, you know, is there going to be a point where people are not living human lives? They're living,
I already think that,
you know, through this false universe of digital stuff.
Yeah, except the only thing I would say is it's like not really a false universe. It's like whatever you make of it. So I think people already are. There are some people who are more invested in their like online life than they are maybe in their like physical life. But I don't think it's a false universe. I think it's just like another one. Like it's just as I don't know. It's just as meaningful to them maybe as like
maybe. And you know, there's a lot of people that you know, aren't extroverted, that
exactly.
You know, they have social awkwardness or whatever, and that's totally fine. And if being in this place versus this place is what makes you happy, then cool.
Yeah.
I mean, to each his own, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could be your preference. I mean, you could be part of like, and this isn't even really esports. This is just like gaming. Imagine World of Warcraft, a big MMO. So multiplayer online, massive multiplayer online. I know I got that right. You could be in like a clan or like a group or like in a community just in that game, and you could have 10 friends and like 90 community members. Maybe you play a role in that community, or maybe it's all like role playing. There's like Grand Theft Auto role playing. Dylan, have you heard of this? There's just so many ways there's so many ways to interact with people online that are even community driven, where you have like a role and you feel like welcome.
Part of a group that you may not.
Yeah, they could be all around the world.
Popular at high school or whatever,
exactly.
But you're cool within that group.
Exactly.
And cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's equally like valid to me. I'm just skeptical of the day where it's like we don't even know, but we've lost all. You know, it's just all virtual reality, or it's just all
we've
digital.
Lost all human contact.
Yeah, I mean, like it sounds sci-fi, so I know I'm not alone being wary about this.
No, it's like 1984 coming to fruition. You know,
how many years till we're like virtual reality everything, Dylan?
I would give that a good while. I'd say maybe like 2040, 2050, because there's just so many steps that to go in between.
That's not that far away.
Yeah, I guess it seems far away to me, but it's really not that far.
So I don't know. I just keep an eye open and try to just engage. I don't know, in the physical world, like mind, body, you know, things like that.
Seems like a happy medium in there is where you know it needs to be. Is there anything that concerns you? Not to go to a negative space, but like I think it's a valid question. Is there anything that concerns you about maybe kids getting too involved with the games, and or some of them being too mature for, you know, the younger kids to play, or it affecting their minds, and like you know, you hear of school shootings and you hear of this stuff. Like, what's your take on that? Like, are video games?
No, I don't think.
As a parent, what would you do if you were talking to a parent today?
Yeah. I don't think there's any evidence that, you know, suggests any violence is actually linked to video games. And that's like the most common response I hear when people are brought to this. And I grew up as a young lad online playing with like the older generation, and it's kind of the same vibe as like the online community. So if you're gonna let your kid on Twitter, they're gonna be exposed to the same sort of like
right.
It's like hatred, but at the same time, it's all for the joke of it, but really not. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to explain. It's like that online community. You'll find it on Reddit. You'll find it on Twitter, even on Instagram. So gaming online with people who are like more mature than you are is something I experienced, but I compare it to what you might find online. And then as a parent, I would worry about my kid overdoing it if he wasn't goal driven, and I felt like he's not building towards something. If he's just kind of
Okay.
like he or she are just kind of spending their time like not in a manner that is like gonna be rewarding for them, or like chasing a goal, or like what are you learning in this pursuit of
Yeah,
your
not
game?
just I'm existing within this video game because I
Yeah.
don't want to exist in the real world kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like I'm doing this because I want to achieve X, Y,
Yeah,
and Z.
exactly. And that might be hard for some parents to actually distinguish if you're
Sure.
not familiar with the gaming world. But I would pretty easily quickly, like, what are you playing for? You want a scholarship at a college? Like, I totally get that. I'll
Yeah.
help you. I'll coach you. I'll get you a coach or whatever. Or are you just you could be outside playing with your friends, but instead you're just permanently on this game that doesn't have this, I don't know, pathway to
There's no
success in the
end to
future.
it.
Yeah. That's a good question. I've actually
End
never
goal.
gone down that like route of thinking, but as I want to be a parent, so that it's definitely interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that it's something that you as a parent and don't just be like, "Oh, my kid does is play video games." So what? Like if that's what
Mhm.
their jam is, cool. And if
Yeah.
they're good at it, cool. And maybe um bring yourself into that world
Yeah.
instead of expecting them to play football or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's no different.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Try and understand a bit better
Yeah.
what they're doing instead of just like labeling everything as like some like dumb game. My dad would always say like that dumb game, but at the same time, he's like the most supportive dad ever. So he's like a bit of both. He didn't understand it, but then when it was clear to him that like it was something I was like driven to do towards a goal,
Yeah.
he was like totally supportive. But he would always kind of come in and be like that dumb game, like go outside and play. Like the neighbors' parents would often not let us play video games. They'd make us go outside and play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important too, and that might be another thing that's like on the down trend is like the amount that young kids are outside playing.
Yeah, like physical exercise is
Yeah.
certainly a thing that we all need to be doing.
Right. Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
has to be, like I said, that happy medium in
Yeah,
there
for
somewhere.
sure. For sure.
You know,
No doubt.
go out and break something. Like, come on.
Yep. Go on an adventure.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Yeah.
We used to, yeah. I mean, bike riding and all of that stuff. I mean, you didn't realize you were exercising, but you
Yeah.
were. You were just riding your bike around town.
You're just having fun with your friends in
Yeah.
the neighborhood. And I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty sure that is something that is declining as well. So something to consider.
Needs to be a little bit of all of that. So,
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Rio, the esports team. How can kids get involved? Or I mean, are they accepting team members? Like how
Yeah.
does that work? And where do you see it going?
So right now we are actively recruiting with a certain amount of scholarship packages that is limited. So I'm encouraging people to, get in contact with me like right around this time of year. So the best way is on Discord at Diddy8234, lowercase d. And yeah, if you're in contact with me directly, I can, set up a call with you and explain everything. But we're recruiting for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, or Overwatch. Although we already have 2 teams, like they can even take on more because they have the structure already in place.
Okay.
You can find us on social media as well at Rio. Dylan, what's our Twitter? I'm sorry.
I don't
Yeah,
know. either.
Dylan, tell us.
Esports, hold on. Rio Esports, Rio.
He'll look it up.
Man. We changed it recently, but I should know this by heart. But anyway, find
right.
us on Twitter.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, just search Grande Esports on Twitter. It'll come up. Same thing on Instagram.
Ryo_esports.
Ryo_esports. Yeah. So find us on Twitter. Give us a follow. You'll be able to kind of see what our facility looks like and meet some of our players and get to know them. But the best way is getting directly in contact with me, and we are offering scholarships for next year.
Okay, very, very cool. And that's the thing. You just said scholarships.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first day Dylan came in, he's like, do you know, like, I'm going to, like, Ryo, I talked to Ryo, and they're, like, offering me a scholarship to work within the esports thing. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's
what?
real.
That's so cool.
Yeah. One of the things that really drew me to Ryo and why I like love working here so much is the scholarship money is variable and there are different packages. And for someone like Dylan, so we offer not only to be an esports player for one of our titles, you could be a media team member and gain a scholarship as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So and we're adding to that media team. So you know, Dylan was offered a scholarship because he brought a lot to the program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. It's awesome being someone who can give opportunity to people who are, you know, have a talent, have a passion, and, you know, can be educated. And like Rio Grande, I can say confidently is a very competitive education offer. Like I can just say that confidently. So, you know, if you are interested in esports or media, or both, like you really should give them a look. And it's, you know, it's a very reasonable offer.
You know, and that's cool because it's in our backyard, right?
Oh,
so, like, I mean, I hope that people take advantage of this.
Yeah, please do. You can also visit the Rio site and just click on the esports tab and get to know more about us there, and or even go straight to the admissions and, you know, schedule a visit or give them a call and ask for, you know, what major. You can find our majors on there that we offer, because that's a big one. You need to have your major be offered by us, but we cover most bases. Definitely computer science is our most common for esports team, which makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Are there futures in esports majors? Like, is that a thing?
I've heard of it. I haven't worked at a school that has offered this major yet, but yeah.
Could it be, I mean, because it could be anything, I feel like, from the development of the games to, I mean, like what Dylan's doing with the media and all that. I mean, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if it would be like every college will offer this one day, but definitely I've heard of it. I know it's out there. And, you know, good luck to the people, like genuinely good luck to the people who are getting degrees in esports and finding careers. I think that's awesome, and like props to them. But yeah, I just haven't worked at a school that has offered that quite yet.
You know, you take kids that don't, you know, aren't able to perhaps physically swing a bat or whatever, but yet are brilliant and very, very talented at this situation. And this is game changing, literally pun intended.
Yeah.
Like game changing for them, where they can actually get school paid for or whatever because of that talent.
It's amazing. Like you brought this up, you could be any shape, size, person, human being in the world, and like you are welcome in esports, and it doesn't matter. And so I think that's another like really cool thing about it is, you know, like somewhere like Rio, like whoever you are, like you belong here. You know what I'm saying? Like you will belong here. So yeah, it's another great thing about esports.
For sure. So what makes Rio special to you?
What makes Rio special is the guys above me, who are helping me along, I think are really good at what they do. And they, as a school, like even all the way up to the president, honestly, I've talked with him a good bit. They are, you know, they take it seriously. They're invested, and you know, they have goals and big vision, and
they do
everything that like, you know, would make you excited about like, you know, helping them out. So I would just say the administration is like, you know, what I like the most. It's also like a really chill campus. It's beautiful. The
It's
scenery.
beautiful.
Yeah.
My gosh.
There's some awesome trails that I've run and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like beautiful, calm campus, safe. Just a great place to work on your school and then work on your grind, whatever it might be, and then maybe hang on the weekends, but like really focus. Like you can focus. Like I can focus when I'm out here. So, yeah, those reasons.
Are you originally from around here?
No, I'm from like Cleveland, Ohio, a city called North Ridgeville, so just outside, like a suburb from Cleveland.
How'd you end up down here?
So I went to college in Cleveland and I worked in Cleveland, and then I graduated. I was working with Cleveland State's League of Legends team.
Okay.
So I was like driving them around in competitions and stuff, but it was just a club at that point. So I did some like volunteer work, and then my first job I got was in Illinois at Illinois College. So that's in Jacksonville, Illinois, and that was like 8.5 hours away from home. And then yeah, so I did like a stint out there, and then found Rio, which is much closer to home.
Sure.
It's in Ohio, and like I said, the administration, like the guys above me, are really good at what they do, and I just like felt that. So made the decision to move a bit closer to home and come here.
Very cool. Well, we're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So, Dylan, what would you like the viewers to know about your experiences so far?
Well, so for me, where my focus is at media, that's what I would like people to know. Like when you go to like basketball or football, they always have something media related. They got a camera guy out there. They have broadcasters out there on the radio. Sometimes they work together and combine that and give you like play-by-play with video. And that's exactly what we do, play-by-play with video. And I feel like that's helped a good bit. We have a good bit of traction, good bit of online fans. And I think the team is starting to learn more about media, and they're starting to have their own suggestions and input. And that's important because media is there to reflect them. So it's nice how much we've connected so far with the actual players. And like this, I was wanting to show.
Yeah.
See, like they were working on making stuff like this. Like I didn't do this. Corbin didn't do this. The team did this. So I think it's cool that they make graphics for us and they try to, represent themselves.
That is awesome.
Yeah, coming into Rio and meeting all these people, it was really awesome how much all of them really care and what they're willing to do to help out, and just, some of the passion, and it just was refreshing to meet, some of these people. Here's Corbin.
There's Corbin. He can't drive, but we love him anyway. He about took me out the other day. You just wait till I see him. I didn't have time to yell at him the other night when I saw him.
Were you guys both leaving here?
No, he was driving down toward me on Main Street and about killed me. I said, hey, Dylan, is Corbin drive some like little brown station wagon thing? He's like, yeah. Did he about hit you? I'm like, yeah.
Sounds about right.
And, I had mentioned play-by-play, and this is a video I'm going to show. This is John Notter, and he actually won this round and went into the next round of playoffs.
Okay.
In damage, it looks like.
This is definitely a close one. It's got me on my edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Only a 3% difference. John's trying to get back up on the map. He throws the Patui and sends him flying again. And again.
And again.
Oh, how is he still in it?
And...
one more.
Oh.
And John takes the second game.
Nice.
What a comeback.
That game was crazy.
That was looking
really
close. That was,
I thought he lost it. I really thought he lost it, but he came back from it. That just shows you that you never want to give up, even when they have the full start.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's John. That's our Super Smash Bros. Coach, but he's also like our best player. So like he'll compete and then he'll coach the players under him. Yeah. Really.
So he
solid.
came back at the last second and won.
He came back from a position where you thought there was no chance he was going to win that game, and he pressured. I think the other guy also kind of.
Yeah, he won the first round with ease, and then the second round the guy came back at him even harder.
Right.
And it looked like he had lost it, but he upped his game and got it last second.
Nice.
Yeah, he just zoned in, so we were all in there kind of like rooting him on, And when he had that last grab, he's like dead or something like that. He's like death. He knew that last grab was KO.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. He like called it right before he KO'd him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So see, this is a thing. Like, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And even more yet, there wasn't webcams on that clip. The furthest we've gotten is where we'll have a clip of like our Overwatch team, 5 players, all with webcams on them, where you can see like kind of the room behind them, all being streamed onto our Twitch. So you're not only watching the game, you can watch like the player reaction.
I see.
Each player cam, it's just like one file, like one like line of like 5 cams. You can see like us celebrate, or like Devin the coach like come in and clapping, and like people getting up and high-fiving and stuff. So with Dylan and Corbin coming in and helping set that up as media team, you can be in the room just by like following us on Twitter and watching a clip. You can kind of like see like what the room feels like a little bit. And then the amount of like volunteer help and also media team members that are like even on that Overwatch team, like helping make graphics. It's all coming together. This is our first semester of having this media team, and honestly, I could do
job, Dylan.
Yeah, no, great job, great start. I could do a better job organizing exactly like what to do with everybody's talents, right? But I think we're gonna just make adjustments for spring semester and maybe adopt new roles and just kind of keep trying different things and keep going. So that's the plan. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'll tell you what, we're about out of time, believe it or not. We've talked for an hour about all of this stuff, but we want to thank you for spending your morning with us, because I know you're busy, and really, really cool discussion, because I just think it's something that a lot of us don't know about.
Well, you're very welcome. It was great being on the show. I'd be happy to come back.
Sure. You can bring a game and make fun of me.
Like I said, all I was missing is my morning coffee. So next time I'll have that and I'll be ready to go.
There you go. All right. Well, we do have to get out of here for the day. We thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for talking with us this morning. And we will be right back here tomorrow. And the weather, it's a little cold out there, so put on your jacket if you're going to head out. So we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
This just in.
The Telegram News has a new website.
thetelegrammnews.com.
Same dedicated coverage.
Same trustworthy news with a brand new look.
Covering Jackson and Benton counties and surrounding areas.
Locally owned and operated, thetelegrammnews.com has its finger on the pulse of the community.
Stay up to date on local events, high school sports, and breaking news.
thetelegrammnews.com.
Subscribe today at thetelegrammnews.com.
Check it out.